for joining and for for connecting with me or with us here today. So I will be sharing my slide. Hold on, let me just check this one. And I hope that everybody are doing okay, doing fine. And it's just a snap of a finger, right? That we're now on the end of our session. Hopefully that this is not going to be the last session. We will keep in touch, especially if the university will think about um, other topics or discussions or matters that will definitely help the university, the faculty, especially the students. Hold on, let me clear. I don't know if you can still remember our session one in that is actually we talk about principles. We talk about we did travel back to studying history about psychology, behavior of humans, and then we define what is user interface. We define what um, user experience, the principles, and we talk about the laws as well. I don't know if you can remember the Jacob's law, the Hicks law, the Fitts law, and many things. And in session two, I believe we did talk about a lot of things. Photography, we talk about colors, we talk about color scheme, and we did touch about how touch and talk about the different tools in Figma, which is the move tool, the frame, and then we talk about groupings and framings as well. And I did provide to you a wireframe activity. And yesterday we did discuss about wireframing, low fidelity, high fidelity, and then what else? We did talk about prototyping and how we can do a simple animation and interaction with different pages in Figma. Yeah, let me just share my screen. Um, I don't know if you can see the screen or my screen now. I think it's showing. And yeah, I am Steve Wall and as tradition, you can scan the QR code for the attendance for section 4. You can take a screenshot and then you can maybe fill out the form later so that we can continue with our question today. Right? So just take a screenshot and sign up later. Thank you. We just proceed to the next slide. It's very I did added this topic in discussion because some people will tend to um, forget and forget the principle or the importance of grid systems, of responsive grid and column systems. So as more and more people access the web through various devices, it's important for designers to ensure their websites are adaptive and responsive in different type screens. So we've been talking about that responsive design and fluid design. So one way of achieving adaptive design is by use of 12, 8, and 4 column system. In this article, we'll explore, or this topic, we will explore the anatomy of grid layout and how to use the 12, 8, 4 column system to design adaptive websites for desktop, tablets, and mobile screens. So what is exactly the layout grid? So a layout grid in UI UX design is a system of horizontal and vertical lines that are used to position content such as buttons, text, images in a way that is visually appealing and organized. So a layout grid system in UI UX design offers several benefits to designers, including consistency. Using grid system will help create a predictable and organized layout, which helps improve the user experience. And of course, efficiency, a grid system provides a guide for placing elements which can save designers time and effort. Of course, hierarchy, the balance, the alignment. Using a grid system provides a clear visual hierarchy of the contents and a clear sense of order and structure on a page. So the hierarchy guides the user in noticing important elements and improves the overall flow of the design. And of course, it is adaptable or adaptability. Grids are important tools for responsive design as they can be adapted to fit different screen sizes and design styles. So, by adjusting the grid to fit different screen sizes, um, designers can designers can ensure their designs remain fluid and responsive. And yeah, in different tools, not just in Figma and Adobe XD and in other website tools for layout grid, so they will have that option. So anatomy of layout grid in Figma, it's highlighting the settings of layout grid and their meaning. So grid, so a layout grid in Figma consists of intersecting horizontal rows and columns. Basically, what it says. So you can take it to the next one. So column lines in layout grid that run from top to bottom. The red lines, as seen in the image, as you can see, they have the horizontal alignment of the elements. I know this is just very simple and basic. Later on, you will understand the importance of grid when you do designing. Of course, row lines is a layout grid that runs from left to right. Obviously, it's a row line. They help in creating consistent spacing, especially for spacing of text, maybe the buttons or the image, the difference between your navigation bar or your menu to your hero or slider and then the body of your content or in between. Um, yeah, usually you can access that in the layout grid in your Figma. So you will be able to see in set different settings over there, whether it's left, right, center, or stretch. So type settings in Figma focuses on position of the rows and columns within a frame when it's adjusted. So it is important to note that rows and columns are adjusted separately in Figma. Type grid settings. Figma has 4 columns. Type grid settings. So that is left, right, corner, and stretch. So that enable designer to achieve specific layouts and alignment. These settings determine how columns are positioned within the frame and how they respond to changes in frame size. And when we talk about left column type settings, the column are anchored to the left side of the frame. So there is no change in the gutters or width type, only changes in the right margin as the frame is adjusted, illustrated on what you can see. So this setting is best for designs that require a strong left alignment, because text heavy layout like newspapers or magazines. For right columns are anchored to the right side of the frame. The gutters and width remain unchanged, while the margin of the on the left side of the frame increases equally as the frame is rotating. Center, I think this is I think this is the one that for fluid and responsive. Um, in Figma center type grid settings, the columns are centered within the frame, while the gutters and the grid remain unchanged. So it's on the center. And the margin on both the left and the right side is increased. Increases equally as the frame is. So this settings is best for designs that require a balanced layout with center text or elements such as a brochure, or poster, or landing page with center header. So the 12-8 column system is commonly used in responsive web design to ensure that the layout adapts well to different screen types. The 12 columns are usually used for larger, like your desktop, your laptop, and 8 and 4 columns are used for smaller equipment, like your tablet and respectively your phone. Um, yeah. So for desktop, it's going to be 12 columns. So this one is desktop. And this one is for tablet. So typically it has like 8 columns. The margin in the gutter are reduced compared to the desktop screen as the content is going to be smaller and less. And for the mobile, it uses 4 columns. The margin in the gutter is reduced even more compared to the desktop tablet screen. As the content is going to be smaller and less. So I think I have like the brief system for this system. Let me just share this brief system. It's from Sigma to illustrate or to demonstrate the 12 column system. So this is how it looks like. If you're able to experience HTML and CSS, I think it's very important for you to study the layout, grid system, and CSS as well, and how to achieve using using coding. I know most of the platform now it offers like an intuitive design wherein you just simply drag and drop elements, and some designers or newbie will tend to appreciate that, but behind it, if you don't understand the grid system, if you are a designer, you will definitely experience problem later on if you're not familiar about the grid system of tablets, of phones, and on desktop. So as you can see, this one it's the frame is 1920 px, container is 1400. So it has a gutter of 24 px, and then the column is 12. And this way you will have an understanding how you arrange maybe your pictures over here in the desktop view. Maybe you will decide to have like 4 columns using 332 um, px on 3 columns, right? Or maybe you will decide to have like you know 3 columns utilizing 4 columns here or 50. Or maybe you will utilize the entire column, 1 column. It's up to you whether you will have 4 columns over here or whether you have 8 columns over here. And similar with laptops, so I believe there's no like this thing. They have the same columns. And for this is for I believe for tablet. Yeah. um Now for tablet it has 8 columns. So as you can see 8 columns, that's the rule for this system. So you will have a container that occupies the entire column and then 2 columns over here. Yeah. And for mobile or like your smartphone, it will have like 4 columns. So you can have an outline or like a grid. Yeah, outline for you in order to keep it. Let me just go back to my presentation. Hold on. Okay. And grid system, user experience design. Um, Information you should know about 8-point grid system, as a designer. So why use of 8-point grid system? Website apps, dashboard, UI, etc. There is a variety of screen sizes. Pixel densities have continued to increase, making the work of assets generation more complicated for designers. So utilizing numbers like 8 to size and space elements makes scaling for a wide variety of devices easy and consistent. Also, the majority of popular screen sizes are divisible by 8, makes for an easy fit. The principle of 8-point grid is that use multiples of 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, etc. So the layout dimensions, padding, and margin of elements. So the value of 8-point grid system is provides a visual hierarchy of elements, and it drives consistency or consistent scalability with fewer decisions to make while maintaining a quality rhythm. So when designing the UI, look clean, better, and beautiful. So point is the measurement of space that is dependent on the screen resolution. When we start UI design, we use small artboard like 375 by 812 for iPhone, and the resolution is around 1125. So that's 5.8 inches. So the reason behind designing for smaller size is it allows us to scale our asset into a different sizes. The different devices require super retina and display. Um, if you use a point grid system when you design, will look 10 times better. And set up a layout system using 8-point grid system like Bootstrap on the responsive when you do designing. That when you do hard coded design using CSS instruments of script. Um, yeah, if you are designing for web, then you must do a responsive design web pages that look good on devices. Also, when design for mobile, you have to make sure it will fit in all devices. So 8-point plus bootstrap at first for horizontal rhythm grid, use standard bootstrap grid system of 12 column layout with a gutter width of 24 pm. So yeah, and this is on Figma. Um, this is where we set up the column for the layout grid so that it will be responsive, and then we can add frames, um, maybe with your navigation and the material and then your content. Um, uh, in this setup, you will definitely have the power to make sure that the alignment and distance of your elements are equal. And that is for column. You can select that and then you can click on the layout grid plus sign and then you can add the row. Um, we can put 1000 for the count of row, and then on the top we can set that to a number wherein we will see the line of the horizontal or row column. And then we put that zero gutter so that there's no space. As you can see the distance, we're using 1000 rows. And that way when we try to add like a frame or element, it actually snaps on the row itself. So maybe you don't notice it, but in that way, the you will have like a equal distance and height between your header, your your navigation bar. So at the top, that's gonna be your navigation bar. It's like we are doing low fidelity wireframing because this is very important because somehow when we lay out and when we design, um, some designers don't consider this one that is very important because it changes, it affects the arrangement of or the layout of your design. Why is it important for the spacing for the column and for the row especially? It's without grid or using grid, as you can see. And there's like a big space between the break line and then on the content, as you can see on the with using grid and compare that to without using grid. So spacing is very important in UI design because it makes it makes it clean and neat, and UI looks logical, attractive, and beautiful. Maybe people, if you're not really a designer, you don't bother of noticing that thing, but it's yeah, not just a designer. Some people really have that kind of eye in looking thing that it's not. When I look that line, it's not even something like that. So, and if you don't consider the grid line, most likely the design when it switch from tablet to phone, sometimes it will overlap. So that's the problem if you don't consider that. And along this discussion, the importance of breakout as well. We would discuss that. Okay, let me go back to it because I think I look on it. So in typography and 8 points grid, typography gives a much more harmonious vertical rhythm throughout design to create a consistent typography system. In fact, sometimes we use web tool as well for scaling. So font size may vary from device to device. It could be like 14px, 15px, 21px, etc. But it is important the line height. The line height will not. Line height should be a multiplication of 8, 16, 24, and 32. But if you want, then you can use multiplication 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and 24. So multiplication of 4 line height because it gives more fine grain control and brings much better results. Right, so that's for the grid system. Um, let's move to what is design system or what we call also the atomic um, atomic system or atomic design method. Okay, you just go ahead and proceed. So, excuse me, the atomic design methodology created by Brad Frost is actually a design methodology for crafting robust design systems with an explicit order. So sometimes it calls an atom. So those are the elements that you can see like the buttons, the text box, the tiny icons. Um, So, as the name suggests, it's derived from a basic chemistry concept, the composition of all matter, like from atom to matter to substance. Understand atomic design better will need to brush up in some basic chemistry concept, based on the chemistry concept. All matter is made up of tiny particles, of course. If we want to dive one step deeper, we go to atom. Itself is made up of subatomic particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons. Basically, that's it. Um, yeah, to explain this better, so let's just like have an example of H2O. The chemical equation suggests that it contains two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. So both are independent by themselves, but when combined together, we get a single molecule. So from atom to substance or molecule. So I think that is the origin of atomic design or design system methodology. So Brad-Frost atomic design methodology is based on the exact chemistry principle. Principle it is applied to design systems. So the atomic design principle focuses on breaking down interfaces into smaller components called atoms. So these atoms act as the building blocks for all other components throughout the design system. So while it may seem like an easy task, it can be complicated pretty quickly, depending on the size of the project you're working on. Okay, so elements of atomic design, just like matter, we can hierarchy um, we can organize components in a design system into a various levels depending on their construction and complexity. So while the standard atomic design principle by Brad Frost has 5 layers, like that one. So we have subatomic particles, atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and stages. Right? So just like I don't know if you are using what is this the name of the app like Spotify or music on my tablet. Yeah, I think Spotify is one of um the website or like tool that we can relate to using atomic design. So particles would be bare minimum foundational elements we need for all components. Yeah, design tokens are the visual atoms of the design system. Specifically, they are named entities that store visual design. And atoms, so focus on like Lego blocks of your interface. Like chemistry atoms in design systems are the smallest elements that you can see, like your icons, your album art. Um, this includes like yeah, input fields, switches, Legos. You can combine these components to build a bigger and better thing. So atom takes in all the properties defining the tree. And the molecules, so climbing one level above, we get molecules. So combining one atom, that's a combination of multiple. So like for example, an icon button with an icon button example like that. Rectangle card, typography, album art, and so on. So it is usually would consist of image block, some text, and call to action button. The atoms that this card consists of consist of exist independently, but when combined we get molecules. And then organisms, these are the highest complexity levels of any given interface component. Organisms can be tricky when identified because they consist of multiple molecules. It's combined multiple molecules. It's like the song list, you know, popular, song list. Yeah, I mean, Spotify. The header menu bar, data grid. etc., are commonly defined organisms in most design systems interacted with. The case of popular application is possible. Template. So templates, it's like define all of your components. Time to specify the structural layout of the interface itself. Templates in design systems help define a standard, which is what we call the layout code. And these are your pages. Or think of it as template as skeletal structure and pages as the flesh on top. Pages is the atomic design. So the image above to um, compares two different artists' profile on Spotify based on the user selections. The molecules in the atom state with different states. Some acquire the hidden state while others render the empty state. Pages can also have some organism hidden or missing. But the page's overall structure remains the same for the most pages. So for the you know design system or atomic design, so it's pretty much the same illustration that I did or explanation that I did. The the beauty about Figma, it's an amazing platform wherein you can download a lot of things. You can download icons, you can have your buttons already. You can copy and paste that. You can choose use or thousands of typography and color palettes just to to design your page. And that's a whole design system. And yeah, atomic design system. As you talk about atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and things. So you will have like what we call the elements. So there are thousands, hundreds of elements that you can download aside from the different text and different colors that you can choose. Different shades of color, um, yellow to red to darker color, smaller text, and yeah, these are user interface elements, even icons. You can download that and even safety and buttons. Of course, you can customize it. You can change the property if you after the design. Um, and you just go back to this slide. And let's move to the next one. So if you don't have any questions about atomic design or design systems, um, so we are done with about talking about grid, grid systems, the 8-point systems. So let's talk about the breakpoints in web design. So when is the right time that that the page would break and change the layout or compress the layout? And that's part of the responsive design that a designer should do. So what are breakpoints in web design? Breakpoints in web design refer to the predetermined screen sizes. So once they change the screen size, once they are viewing your page, your mobile site, it depends on the resolution, so the size of the screen. Screen size where the website content and layout automatically adjust to ensure readability and usability of different devices. So these are the jump scores within the code, specifically within CSS. So if you understand CSS, we can also call that CSS media queries where certain design changes become active. The philosophy of responsive breakpoint is deeply intertwined with the concept of adaptive design, where the goal is to engage users with seamless interaction no matter the device that they're using. It should be adapted. Approach focus on the user first, so acknowledging that the modern user may switch, devices to check your website or to check your product on. Breakpoint is therefore based on the minimum and maximum width of viewing area, which could be the full screen of the desktop monitor or the constrained space of the smartphone. So this range is crucial because it dictates how content like text, blocks, images, and other elements will reshape themselves. Take font size, for example. So, yeah, yeah, not just font sizes, but also images. So it should go with I know the resolution of the size of the screen. So standard breakpoints in the industry in web design sphere, understanding common screen sizes is essential for creating universally accessible websites as digital devices spread. The diversity in screen sizes has expanded, compelling compelling web designers to consider many dimensions. To manage this complexity, the industry has gravitated towards establishing standards, breakpoints, which widely recognized with cater to major breakpoints seen across popular devices, providing a practical starting point for responsive design. So in CSS, the minimum width would be is 1,000 for example the desktop view. So once the screen reaches that kind of minimum width, it should have that kind of layout. But once the the media screen reach the minimum width of 768, it should have that layout for tablet, and the elements should follow on that layout or design. And for smartphone, maximum width should be 767 pixels. So once it reaches that, or if it's more than that, it should be on the tablet screen. So these sizes align with the width of the phone in both portrait and landscape tablets. Similarly, in both orientation and array of desktop screen. Text, particularly font sizes, can be specifically challenging to optimize across devices. Yeah, I experienced this a lot. Um, Especially I am, designing websites. It's it's really important to understand it. So font that is legible on desktop may become eligible on mobile devices. As a web designer, we need to set our layout from smartphone, tablet, and desktop. So responsive typography within this breakpoint is crucial. It's about adjusting font properties and size, weight, and spacing to ensure legibility and pleasant reading experience on any screen. Technically, the designer is to work with sections independently, and as a result, each of them may need to have different breakpoints. So you really need to understand the breakpoints for different parts of your website, like the hero for mobile 320, 600, and 1 to 18. It should follow that. Um, but yeah, it's really challenging because we have different TV screen, different sizes for tablets. Samsung has a different size of sizes of gadgets or devices. Even Apple or Yeah, they have their own screen developer. So once you understand the breakpoint of your content, most likely you will have you will achieve the response rate with behind. And breakpoint standards still need to be defined. Uh, yeah, sometimes you can use plugins and you can use um, install third-party plugins just to support your layout. But sometimes we need to do some hard coding part, you know, and that's why as a designer or developer, it's really important to have a foundation with hard coding, syntax coding, making sections responsive at entirely in any resolution will make a hard life and hell of a mess, when you are doing design. So typography styles also need to have a breakpoint, as I mentioned. So especially if you have a lot of elements like pictures, then you have the heading, you have the paragraph or the content, the information. So you need to look at the responsiveness of your layout using a tablet, using a smartphone, using a desktop or a laptop. So sometimes if you have too much elements going on, you really need to, um, um, make sure that they have that property or they have that breakpoint. So best practices for adding standard responsive breakpoints. As I mentioned, we really need to understand, the CSS part, incorporating responsive breakpoints effectively. Using CSS media query allows the design to respond to a minimum width and maximum width of viewing area. So here is an example of a CSS code implementing media query. So this snippet illustrates how media queries adjust font size. Um, yeah, it's very important that you have this global CSS for your entire page. If your plugins are not working with um, with the software itself, so I experienced that. So you need to override and you need to do the hard coding part just to achieve the different screen sizes for tablets and for desktop. Code specifies the font size increases to enhance readability once the screen size reaches 786, and it should have like a font size of 15. And likewise, once the screen that exceeded 1024 pixels, typically desktop monitors, the color will increase. So it will change. So following media queries becomes indispensable practice for ensuring the content is as accessible and legible for mobile users. Though the technicalities of the media queries and responsive design can be complex, yeah, and breakpoint and bootstrap, CSS, foundation and other CSS frameworks. Because CSS and HTML, they are actually embedded in. And for example, if you are using WordPress to design, if you're using Wix, if you're using Dropbox, rather Drupal, Joomla, those are like platforms for web designing, and there are thousands of plugins that you can use. Yeah, for CSS frameworks like Bootstrap and foundations are fundamental elements of contemporary design systems, allowing for a rapid development of responsive websites and web apps. So these frameworks provide predefined breakpoints based on a minimum viewport width, accommodating a wide range of screen widths. You know um, let you customize if you want. So this one is for landscape. This one is for the tablet desktop, and for large screen desktop as well. Yeah, similarly, the foundation employs a set of breakpoints, although with a different type of specification. So extra large screen or devices, minimum width, which is 1020, and for extra large devices, we have 1442 and so on. So for tablet, 140, and for desktop, 1020. Comparison and analysis of framework breakpoints. When we delve into different breakpoints used by various CSS frameworks, it's clear that each has its methodology for defining specific breakpoints. This framework utilizes the migratory concept to dynamically adjust the font size and layout to fit the responsive website design criteria. So Foundation, on the other hand, might set its breakpoints like this one. So each framework defines its breakpoints with an understanding that devices come in many sizes and resolutions. So the media query is a tool that enables the website design to adapt it fluidly, restating the content to provide optimal readability and interaction to no matter the device used. So by leveraging this established breakpoints, designers can ensure that the responsive website design effectively reaches the broadest audience possible, focusing on clarity, usability, and aesthetic appearance. So when we try to, design that on Figma, so we try to create screens using desktop, iPad, and then phone. So these are the different sizes screens, and we can select on the side local variables, declare the local variable, we create variables, and then we call this one rectangle width. This is on Figma, so that when we try to create a rectangle, it should be fluid. So this is a property that you will apply to your elements or to your to your shape. So for desktop, it should be like 1020. And for tablet, let's set that 750 and 300 respectively for mobile. Yeah, that's local variable, and then let's try to create a rectangle. And then on the width, we can click that one, and then we can set the variable that we created. Um, Once you drag that, as you can see, it's not fluid yet, but you need to click the desktop or the frame, and then change the variable to the variable that we created. So it should be auto, selection, it should be tablet, and selections, it should be, um, yeah, for tablet. And then once we copy that, uh, go to the frame and then auto, and then set that into a form. Because you can see when we try to create frame, we set variables. When we switch that, it fluidly changes that frame. So once we, drag that to a different view or different screen, it changes the shape. So every time we add something frame in this parent frame, the parent frame of this element when we have a lot of elements in that frame, so um it should be like fluid, it changes. Now it's on Figma, and that is for responsive um breakpoint. Just accepting this one. All right, so creating responsive components. Within Figma, we can use two main tools to build responsive and flexible components, constraints, and auto layout. So when we do layout thing, we actually, you know, select all the elements. But, we need to make sure that it is responsive. So Constraints allow us to determine the behavior of the selected item should its parent container ever resize. So auto layout, however, it's a tool we can apply to a container that allows us to resize based on the content width. So auto layout, just as we're able to use constraints to set the behavior for items within a component, if the component were to ever grow or shrink, we can use auto layout to define what happens to the size of the component itself. So if the component is ever added or removed, and how that content resizes within the frame. So auto layout is useful throughout the design system components such as buttons, inputs, or any component that you want to have in your page. And yeah, so adjusting components can tend to be adjusted while maintaining set spacing, padding, and resizing properties as we think about building scalable and robust components for others on our team. So using auto layout. So this one, like for example, we have lots of shapes. You can select them, and then you can set the use auto layout. Once you click that, you can use Shift A, and as you can see, it's auto layout. It has the gutter spacing, and then you can click the auto layout again. You can move elements or like that one, and then you can change that into different layout grid. So auto layout arrangement. So freeform, you have the freeform. So if you don't want to use the auto layout, so you can use freeform to adjust, or you can set that vertically, or we can set that horizontally or grid. So yeah, grid is actually new as well, but it is being implemented in Sigma. So free form layout settings, we can change the width and the height to this one, and then we can change that to 1000. We can decrease that. Yeah, those are the number of columns or the sizes of the width. Similar with when we try to increase the width, it should fit the thumbnail or the screen. So sometimes that's the problem that we are facing. It stretched out if you don't use or familiar with auto layout and form. So we can basically adjust each element and spacing for each element in the freeform. We can click content. At that one, we can hide. Basically, if it's used in carousel, that is how we use the clip content. And then, the vertical and horizontal, if you want it auto layout. And then we can make sure that it's responsive by clicking that auto layout once we decrease the size. So it adjusts, you know, um, it adjusts the width. And this is for the sizes of, or the frame layout of your element, whether it's on fixed, whether it's on hog, or we can set specific style to content but on the align top center and maybe on the left center. As you can see, when you try to drag it, it sticks to that alignment or area. Yeah, there's a lot of options in auto layout that you can explore, whether it's on the distance of the padding, yeah, the padding in the side, in the top padding, in the gutter as well, and the spacing between elements. So you can experiment that and making sure that each component or element is fluid. I'm. It's really yeah, yeah. If you are a designer, if you understand all of this, and if you have like a project, it will take a lot of your time, really. Especially you have tools over here. It's really good to have this option because it makes our job easier and faster. Because before, when we develop website or apps, we tend to do it in scripting, in coding. So there's a lot of analysis and measurement, changes of sizes, changes of values. So yeah, with this kind of user interface, the different tools that we are using now, um, I think all we need to study is the options that we are being given. So this is the grid system for layouting in Figma. So you can select all the frames and then you can select auto layout on the grid system. You can set this one, the size, field container, yeah, and make sure that you select the parent frame for that. And this is just an additional auto layout for stroke. As you can see, the stroke is outside. You can put that inside in layout. As you can see, it's within, or we can overlap them. Yeah, when we try to shrink, it should adjust. Because that's the problem if you don't use the auto layout in our design, the overlapping and the alignment changes with the different things. So I think that's it for the so yeah for designers today face a dual challenge creating rich, polished visual and heading off seamless code ready designs without the friction. With Figma as the hub of many design workflows, the right AI-powered plugins or other plugins can be the difference between smooth, sprint, and bottleneck. So impact of the workflow, the first thing you need to look at what is to whether you can use plugin meaningfully, speed up your design, or maybe AI powered the features. Yeah, that's for versatility across design stages. If you wanted to set a tool that covers the full creative cycle from ideation to developer hand off, for example, Unsplash, cryptography, and avatar generator make the concept big. So there's a lot of plugins in Figma that you can actually use in this one. So Figma, best Figma AI plugin. So we have this UX Pilot Figma plugin. Figma plugin, you can generate wireframes if you are having a hard time with creating wireframes. So you can have wireframes in your Figma by using this plugin. You can simply start by writing prompts or uploading and referencing and other generative AI models to use editable frames that you can refine further. We built this, you can build this to start from scratch, your ideas from concept to working design concept. So key feature is a text prompt to screen generation. You can describe the screen, like for example, model travel booking flow with map and filters. And you can press enter and it will create. You can export of layers Figma files designed created via our web app or plugins can be exported into Figma with layers and editable components intact. Then we have Builder.io. So Builder.io does is to connect your Figma design to a front-end code by enabling one click. Export Figma prints into live code. So it can be React, If you're familiar with React or Vue, Tailwind, HTML, if you are designing your web design in Figma, and then you can export that using Builder.io. So that's a plugin that you can use. The idea is to bridge the long gap between design and dev. If you're a front end developer and a back end developer, and you will have flexibility and customizable options. You can do that in Figma as well. So key feature, multi framework export and styling support. You can export your design into React, Vue, Angular, or even plain HTML CSS. So you can choose your approach. So which best for you? So auto responsiveness and component mapping. That's also a plugin. This plugin is best for design and engineering teams who already work with frameworks. React Vue particularly useful for teams that maintain component libraries or design systems and want to reduce repetitive development effort. Iconify brings a massive library of icons directly into your signal. As I mentioned earlier, so there's a lot of design system elements or UI elements that you can download. So this plugin is actually one of those plugins or options. Instead of hunting down icon sets between tools, SVG manually, you can straight browse and insert icons. But you can also design your own because you can design using pen, you can use shape, yeah, you can design also in Figma. Pictography. So photography, appeal, it's really obvious, a built-in library of illustration. So for example, vector plus PNG, you can drop into your Figma canvases. Instead of sourcing art, or, sourcing art externally and importing messy assets, you get to view images in Illustrator ready, visual, right inside your file. So key feature, vector and PNG format illustration. You can insert high quality illustration in scalable vector, format PNG depending on your needs. Searchable illustration library. You can search. So there's a lot. Something gives you thanks to your business, people, technology. So you can find two things so quickly. This reduces your time, in creating. And I think this is also one of the famous plugins, which is Unsplash. So for me, the biggest win of using Unsplash is inside Figma is being able to stay inside my design. Some plugins it requires you to to open another portal or another web services just to use the plugin. So it saves my design while files still accessing a huge library of high quality photos. So you could search, select a shape or frame, and insert the image right away. So key feature, direct insertion with Unsplash for Figma. You can pick shape, layers, and use plugin to fill it with photos Unsplash either by searching keywords, random keywords. Commercial space, license, and large library. So the plugin packages Unsplash vast catalog of photos that are free to use for commercial projects with reduces legal overhead with hosting before. And if you are like doing some avatar generation, so this one is okay as well. So with the avatar generator plugin, you can generate customizable user avatars inside your Figma file. So it comes in handy when you're building user profiles, screens, dashboards, or persona visuals, and want to be consistent looking avatars across screens. Customizable avatar attributes you can fit hairstyle, clothing, skin tone, background shape, with color, and pose so the avatar is more closely aligned with your project aesthetic. So one click away. So after adjusting attributes, you can insert avatar directly into your Figma frame. And this is also one of you know, commonly used plugin, which is the Anima built convert Figma frame. So yeah, Figma frame, components, and full flows into front-end code such as React, Vue, HTML, Tailwind, yeah, anything. It lets you select a layer or a frame in your Figma, pick your target frame, and export the code to preview it in Anima's Playground environment. So key feature, framework, and styling choice, you can choose the framework, as I mentioned, CSS, and other things. The interactive component is so export, Anima supports exporting to the interactive component, variant, hover, save, click, and so on. So if you're building standard UI, dashboard, or marketing flows, and want a head start on output, Anima is a great choice for you. Image tracer. Okay, I think I okay. 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 Image tracer. So image tracer allows you to convert raster. So if you like have a not so good quality images, JPEG, PNG. So image tracer allows you to convert raster or bitmap images. So into your film. Rather than tracing it manually in Illustrator or maybe in Photoshop or in other tools, you can use image tracer. So key feature instant raster to vector conversion. Select any bitmap image, run the plugin, and you can generate editable vectors. Of course, it would have a hard time if you import an image that is not clear. Most likely, the output would be different as well. So yeah, adjusting trace settings, but you can adjust the trace as well. You can treat the trace vector as a mask or insert color layers from extracted colors. Like what if you are on Figma, you can go and pick plugins, yeah, or using that tool over here, take that tool and then search any plugin that you want. Like for example, Anima. So we can insert Anima there. So it's a third party plugin that you need to you know um sign up for that if it is your first time to set up. So this is Anima. So you can select the project, select a layer to start. So any layer, um, you can select the entire page if you want. And then you will see the index in CSS, React, Vue, HTML. And then you can start customizing your layout or your design. So that's one way for you to, do plugins. And yeah, let me share my screen. Hold on. Aside from, let me just go ahead. Okay. So, for example, if you have like a project, so for plugins, you can select this one over here for the action, control K, and then you can search like asset plugin widget. You can start searching on that. um, yeah, you can type Anna, and then you can click that. Then you can start running. As what you have seen on the video. Aside from that, let me just you can actually export your files into SVJ or PNG. So, for example, if you wanted to export everything like this frames or yeah, this frames, you can select that, and then you can go over to export, and then you can export this in PNG, JPEG, SVG for reusable elements or PDF. Maybe if you're trying to export into the layout to your client. And then you can download that. Um, yeah, just our PDF file for your layout for the page. And that is, you will export that with a lot of pages. You can go to Figma as well, or the main page is Figma. So to, for you to, see different, plugins. You can start with, you don't have to start with, blank Canva or Canvas. So you can go to community, you can search UI kit, wireframes, UI kit. Yeah, there's a lot for UI kit, user interface kit. You can choose in the library or go back to community. You can use wireframing, social media, icon, if you want. That's on the community. What else? Presentation for marketing, whiteboarding, website. If you want to create like a portfolio, e-commerce, blog, wedding, there's a lot. So for example, landing page, so you can have like a lot of examples for this one. So whether it's a YouTube profile, restaurant maybe, about us or style. So there's a lot of free plugins or free templates that you can use that's under the community. There's a lot that you can do. Yeah, let's go back to my presentation. And the, because yeah, Dr. Rizwan, we talked about earlier about artificial intelligence. And it's really booming and it's being applied in different areas, in agriculture, in fisheries, in medical field, in website, in designing, in games, and many things as well. So user interface and user experience is not exempted for this one. Um, what this means for designers today, if you're a designer, it encourages you to, dive into AI fundamentals, understanding the basics of how models learn and adapt, collaborate deeply with engineers and data teams, bridge the gap, think beyond the screen. Design systems, experiences, and feedback loops prioritize transparency and user control to build trust and accept that your design will evolve continuously. AI is expanding that it means to design pushing us to systems thinkers, collaborators, and ethical stewards. It is challenging but also incredibly exciting. So um, this type of journey has transformed not just your craft or our craft, but also how we see technology role in shaping human experiences. So the future of design isn't just about making things look good. It's about making them think and grow with the people who use them. Yeah, there's a lot of AI tools in Figma Make. That's one. So most US designers are under pressure to move faster without sacrificing quality. Stakeholders want to see multiple design options. Developers need production ready specs. Users expect accessible, intuitive experiences. And you're supposed to deliver all this while also conducting research, refining interactions, and maintaining a consistent design system. So most UI tools for designers work alone, cut off from the rest of your workflow. Figma Make works differently. So it brings AI, design, and development tools together in one place. so your team can go from idea to production. Then Figma design. So Figma design is where you refine your design. This is where most of the user experience designers spend their time in Figma design. So adjusting layout, testing flows, and policy interaction. Figma design combines powerful design tools with real-time collaboration. Yeah. And then we have the UI guard or wizard. Um, stands out for one unique feature. Its ability to scan hand-drawn. If you have a hand-drawn wireframe, it converts them into digital design. So if your team loves to sketch ideas on paper or whiteboards during brainstorming sessions, so the best tool, AI tool, is UI guide. It can save time. Yeah. Tips is the new tool from Google Labs that turns text prompts, images, and wireframes into UI designs and front-end code. So it is powered by Google Gemini models. It gives for teams who want to move quickly from rough concepts to working prototypes. You can describe, um, you know, you can describe what you need in plain text or plain language, and then you can upload also a reference image and pitch generates a design along with corresponding code. I think from the animated business scripts because script is actually changing and its body is fluid. Now talking all those things, we've been talking about things affecting one. So what's the trend or landscape of design this year or maybe in the upcoming year? So violently, not gradually. So AI didn't really replace designers. It didn't replace us in the end. So it separated those who design from those who assemble and those who are just clueless. So the space got a little narrower, but way more condensed. So in 2026, this year, UI UX design is no longer just about crafting visually appealing screens. It's about creating intelligent, adaptive, and emotionally aware digital experiences as digital products evolve. So AI has become a core collaborator for every designer, reshaping workflows, speeding up processes, and opening new creative possibilities. So this year marks, a turning point. Designers are not being replaced, rather they are being empowered by AI to focus on what they do best, which is empathy, creativity, strategies, and problem solving. Um, yeah, for AI, so AI plus UI and UX, a powerful partnership. Artificial intelligence is transforming every stage of the design lifecycle, from user research to prototype to testing. So this year, AI tools are built directly into design. Yeah, platforms giving designers powers such as automated research and insight. AI can now analyze thousands of user interactions, heat maps, surveys, and usability patterns in seconds. Imagine, yeah, designers get instant insight. So what users struggle with, where drop-offs happen, behavior trends across segments, predictive user needs. This eliminates guesswork and allows data-driven decisions making from the start. And also AI-assisted frameworks and prototyping. Using natural language prompts, designers can describe a screen, for example, create a payment flow, okay, hold on, get this one. Or create a payment flow for shopping apps, and AI generates wireframe layout, values, and components library instantly. Designers now spend more time refining experiences instead of building everything from scratch. So hyper-personalized user experiences. So AI model in 2026 can tailor a product interface based on user behavior, location, time of delay preferences, and interest, accessibility needs. This means no two users see the exact same interface. Personalization is now the default, increasing engagement and satisfaction. And then voice, gesture, and adaptive interfaces at smart devices. Advanced interfaces are no longer limited to screens. AI helps designers create voice-first interaction like AR and VR experiences, gesture-based interfaces, ambient intelligence, context-aware UI. Designers must think beyond additional UI and rely on AI to interpret complex user design. And smarter usability testing, so AI-powered testing tools simulate hundreds of real world scenarios. So eye tracking predictions, accessibility reviews, UX flaw detection, tests for tasking emotion detection throughout facial cues. This accelerates the testing process from weeks to minutes. Yeah, so imagine those features and those new technology or emerging technology that is available in the market. So a designer in 2026 should focus on yeah. Again, designers role in 2026 evolve, not replace. We need to evolve, and we are not replaceable. Despite rapid automation, the heart of design remains deeply human. So it requires human touch still. AI can generate ideas, but it cannot understand culture. As people, that's why when we try to design, we need to consider our audience, who our users. Is it for adults? Is it for the teen people? Is it somewhere in Europe? Is it for gamers? Is it for people who love shopping? So we have that kind of um because basically we are human. So AI can generate ideas, but it cannot understand culture, emotions, and human values the way designers do. So designers in 2026 focus on experience, strategy, to human-centered thinking, ethical design decisions, branding, personality, and storytelling. So your imagination is still the limit. You don't just rely on what the AI can give you. And if you think that, let's go back to I think section one when we try to design, we need to remove or detach ourselves to the layout design that we're trying to do, and we try to create persona. We try to create a different type of person or a diverse persona so that we will understand that there are people who have different experiences, who have different preferences. No brand personality and storytelling, creativity or creative problem solving, cross-functional collaboration. Um, AI handles the mechanical work, designer says the vision. So that's that's a short message. Designers shape the vision. And let me just share. Okay. Um, and I'm also I have I have a client from US and here in the Philippines as well. So aside from I am a faculty teacher, I do some part time as well. So if in case that you will land a job as a virtual assistant, you really need to be flexible enough to understand different plugins, different tools. Like this one of my clients uses the SiteGround, and it uses, this one is WordPress. I'm not sure if most of you already familiar about WordPress. So maybe when you graduate from your course, you will be surprised in the real world that, oh, we haven't learned this one, we haven't experienced this. And those are some of the questions when when I engage myself and connect myself into a real world project and job. So you might be surprised that there's tons of tools. As a designer, I want you to have that values and culture that you need to be flexible and adaptable. You need to continue learning as well. So this is a WordPress. So I have Astra as a main template for my design. I have search engine optimizer as well, tools that I can optimize the page. And then I have Elementor for the for the designing of my website or of the website, and I can also optimize images for that loading. So in this one, I am using Astra. So for example, this is the layout of the page of the entire website. There are tools for global here, for containers and colors, typography. Yeah, this is a different kind of layout for Figma. So I just wanted to share this with you so that maybe you will have experience as well. Maybe someone will hire you and ask you, are you familiar about this tool? You just simply say yes. And once you get hired, I think that's the technique. You need to, learn the tool as fast as you can. So yeah, you can do a lot of things using the Astra Global plugin in the tools. You can change the header as well for this one. This is the header area. You can click this to edit. Yeah, basically. And there is also, as I mentioned earlier, that you need to understand the foundation of or building blocks of a design. Maybe my generation, during my college years, I was really exposed in hard coding, like HTML, CSS, the different elements in HTML, H1, the tags and everything, the divisions, the components. So in some plugins, you can declare additional CSS over here so that it will affect, some of the areas or codes. For example, the header over here, I customize that using the CSS additional tool. And also for the H1, H2, H3, so I can customize that. And also for my footer. Because some of the plugins, they don't have that option to really customize everything. That's why it's really good to have a platform wherein you can, customize CSS. Um, uh, Hold on. See, and then yeah, I experienced also the responsiveness of the layout. So you can switch from tablet over here and then on Chrome. So if you can see, yeah, there's like a chat box over here if you're doing the on tablet, and in this way you can actually see in the chat whether if there is like a problem with your chat. Yeah, this is the main um plugin that I use in creating this project. Aside from the WordPress, you can do a lot of things also in WordPress, like in the pages, in the media, and the posting, like a blog, right? And you can customize the CEO and appearances. And then, as I mentioned, I have Elementor. Well, if you explore Joomla and Drupal, there's tons of plugins as well, aside from Figma. And this is Elementor. As you can see, each element you can customize, you can style. We talk about grid responsiveness. We talk about auto layout. In this kind of platform, you can set auto layout like view, yeah, view port for this one, just to make sure that it's responsive. the text is responsive, the slider is responsive, the icon is responsive as well. So yeah, there's a tons and lots of options that you can do. And then you can publish it. So yeah, this is just an add-on to to our discussion. This is one of the websites that I am maintaining. So it has also side tools as well. It depends on the client, what you call it on. They subscribe to a different, hosting. So in each hosting, they can have their own features and services. In this area, there is like email, domain, WordPress, and patching is very important also to to clear the path of the images and to optimize the loading, especially if you are the designer. The CDN, we're in the different server and the internet. Sometimes it takes time to load your website, and in order to optimize those things and make sure that it will take effect immediately. So some of the hosting, or I mean, most of the hosting will have this option. So that once you're done with the editing and changes with your layout, you can use this to clear the cache in CDN for the site. So that once you open the site, it actually loads like this one. So I also added a chat box. This is it has an AI what do you call this one? It has an AI feature as well. So you can animate the transitions and everything by using Elementor. Yeah, you can go to advanced and you can go over here, motion effect. Yeah, um, you can use normal, or fast, or fade in, fade out. That's simply like that. Okay, let me just go ahead and switch to right. So let me present this one. Alright, so I think that's it for me. Again, let's have a knowledge set, and this is going to be our last. Hopefully, it's not our last knowledge set. Hopefully, that we will have more you know, um, sessions like this. And thank you very much, guys, for joining me in our last session. Let's have a knowledge set using, of course, AHAS Live. So I'm sure that others are. I'm not sure if it is loading. Oh, there you go. You can scan the QR code, and then you can start. So let's wait for apply that. Uh, they have one all of prototype. We can here in more or less so I believe we can start now. Maybe I'm going to question one. Atomic design is a small building block of a of nuance. Is it molecule? Is it organism? Is it template? Or is it atom? Yeah, it's atom. You're right. And for question two, what are breakthroughs used for in quantitative? Is it adding colors, saving layout for different screen sizes, compressing files, or creating icons? So in Figma, there's an auto, layout for that. So I think you will got that answer is obvious. All right, so 11, that is the response then and there's that. Which could not pick automatic dynamically. Is it prototype, plugin, auto layout, or pen tool? I think it's also obvious when it comes to the questions. So these are just basic questions. Really. I'm sure you're gonna answer this correctly. Again, remember. Okay, auto layout. That's right. As always, dapat Leslie, Mohamed. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. And before I end this one, I think I forgot yesterday that we will have like a evaluation. So I want everyone to to stand to our code for the short evaluation for our sessions. And thank you very much again, Dr. Swan, for inviting me. It's really an honor. It's really a pleasure to share my knowledge and my experiences and expertise. And my advice to the students who are listening, just continue learning, and there is so much to learn. In this particular field alone, there's so much to learn. And as you can see, AI cannot replace the designer, as I mentioned earlier. So we really need to be, adaptable and flexible. So thank you very much once again. Thank you, Mr. Juan. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Benjamin, for